Are you leaving your camera on or off? Okay.
Okay. And all right, ready to go.
All right, I got Facebook.
Hopefully you've got Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay, streaming to Facebook, maybe Twitter, maybe LinkedIn. Share now if you can, if you want.
Twitter is a yes.
And who is Twitter? Okay, thank you.
Oh, we're allowed to? Good. I'm glad we got permission to, we didn't get revoked yet.
Yeah, no content, please.
And also
I don't see a LinkedIn. I don't get one.
you see LinkedIn?
I do not.
Oh,
I'm
Let's
looking now.
just get started.
all right. We'll get started. We're hoping that we're streaming everywhere. We're about to start the Gillmor gang. Okay. Mute is off, and we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, and
Hi, Steve Gillmor here. This is the Gillmor gang. Joining us from Seattle, Washington area is Michael Markman.
How do you do? Here we are in the midst of rivers of rain. Right now, a little pause. We know it's Seattle.
Now, is that background that you're showing? Is that the inside of the, what is that? I don't see anything. It's
it's
all,
the gray rain.
It's a blurred background of the actual room I'm in.
Wow.
okay, excellent. From Palo Alto, California is Keith Tier.
Hello, viewers. It's a wonderful Monday when I'm normally doing other stuff, but today we're doing the Gillmor gang because tomorrow's Tuesday.
Election day.
And out. Okay, from London, New England.
No, what?
It's the New England now that we have yet another prime
Oh,
minister.
no.
And that is Frank Radis.
Hi, guys. Hello, Steve. I was formulating some fireside theater thing. Artichoke. He's just a joke. But you know, it didn't fit.
Luckily, we didn't hear it then. From the state of what do they? No, it's where the election may or may not be
That's
signaled.
Brent Leary.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could have just said that. Hey,
But I need to have a little words there.
I am
Little
word
wearing
in
my
there.
new lens.
What?
How do you like my new lens? How do you like this look, this new this view? How do you like the lights in the background on my A10 Mini just flashing away in the background?
That's good. But the
That's
lens is struggling with focus, Brent. It keeps darting in and out.
Well, I don't see that.
I well, Keith is looking. He's got the sharp eye, so
You should be
I
able
see
to
it
set the distance, don't you think? Shouldn't you?
Yeah,
Oh, you
let's
can do
everybody
that.
change their camera. That'll work.
Everyone's a producer.
It looks great, Brent. It's really very high quality for our program.
What is the implication there, Frank?
That we all
I
should
like-
upgrade our quality to look like his.
Oh,
Actually, I was being serious. That would be great. We could all sink a ton of money into it and make it look like that.
I'm on a Sony FX3 here with a 2470 1.4 lens.
Then it's a lighting thing is more than anything else.
Oh,
Right,
look, here
Brent?
I come, and I'm blocking every possible area of the screen. And the reason is that I want to introduce from the compact framework cough of Massachusetts, it's Dennis Pombriant.
Yes, the framework. I'm just steps away from the quad at Harvard Yard, where the framework all really began.
Where's
This is the capital This is the capital of Puritanism here. And we're getting ready for a witch burning tomorrow night. We'll wait until the polls close. We figure if somebody can't get elected dog catcher, they won't be missed.
Where's your
Wow.
frame, by the way?
It's at work.
Very good, except it's now filled in with,
It's now filled in with meaningless wood.
So
Oh, you
the thing
mean
works.
the compact framework.
there you go. This is very reminiscent of a Procter and Bergman.
Move it forward.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, right there.
Wow. I need some of Brent's lighting though.
Yeah.
That's what I was, that was sort of my point. Brent, kudos on your lighting. It's very Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey Brent, here, take my frame. You do a better job with it.
Take my frame, please. Oh, wait a minute.
Take my frame, please.
Bandwidth problems in terms of audio, Brent.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Weird.
it's skipping a little
That
bit.
is weird.
It's all the lights.
It's so like
okay. What are we talking about? Since it's not election day and we have no real insight into anything that's going on with Twitter.
Wow.
What do we want to talk about?
Well, those are two good things, Steve.
Okay, good luck.
Lack of insight and lack of election results.
Either way, there is a decided lack.
It wouldn't be the Gillmor gang if there was insight. Let's face it.
Yeah, forget the insight. Who needs the damned insight?
You know,
Let's just speculate.
Elon Musk kind of reminds me of who was the lead character on The Addams Family, the husband, the father of the family. Who
Lurch.
No,
No,
the
Lord.
guy with the mustache. The guy with the
Yeah.
mustache.
Gomer.
Gomez.
I just want to
Gomez.
say
Gomez.
that
Yeah, Gomez.
of
Yeah.
of all of
Gomez,
us,
that's
the
right.
one who most think when I think Lurch, I think Markman for sure. It's you, Mike. It's your. If we're playing the Addams Family, you have to be Lurch. I don't know who the mother is, the kind of witchy mother.
Yeah, Morticia,
Yeah,
whatever her name was. No, but my point was that that character used to brag about driving companies into the ground, and it seems like Elon is the second coming.
Oh.
I thought the statement made about where blame was being laid by the former CEO and the owner of the company, and was really interesting to hear that close to the first news of the layoffs. Layoffs hadn't even happened yet.
Mm.
I believe the apology came before the layoffs happened. I think anybody has that timeline, that'd be great. Either way, it's still astounding.
From Jack.
Yeah.
well, Jack,
That wasn't really an apology, was it?
Nah, it
was a
look,
confession.
yes, you
With
could
a
say it
confession.
wasn't really an apology, but it was a confession. Yeah, okay, that's what it was.
It was almost a mea culpa.
Almost. It was close, but no cigar, I guess. But it was, I mean, I don't think it would be unfair to look at it as some portion of both of those things, or all three of those things, because they are all the same thing in essence.
Well, what he said was that he sort of blamed himself for growing the company too fast. So he's sorry that the people
That he blew his business practice.
Well, look, I think you've got to put it in context because all of these things are so short term and kind of nuanced based around personal reputation, building or destroying, whichever way you see it. But I think there's a longer term context, which is for the longest time, the Twitter management team, which, as you recall, has been, different people have been handed the baton over and over again. Dick Costello for a time, the board with at that time Union Square Ventures very dominant on the board, then Jack, before that Ev, and there's been a kind of a lack of clarity as to what they want Twitter to be, that has led to many, many zigzags over the years. But the most recent incarnation of Twitter became something that Dorsey didn't identify with. And so his resignation and his point of view are really all intimately connected to his distaste for what Twitter had become. And I think Musk was seen as the savior because he set out to destroy Twitter as we know it. And so Dennis is right, but it's like intentional. And it's intentional because what they want to build is a different Twitter, which I don't think any of today's events really change. And we all kind of know what that different Twitter is, at least in broad brushstrokes. So I think you got to just wait and see in a way. I don't think it's easy to judge in the heat of the storm, because there's so many emotions that get in the way of anything really. It's just best to wait and see. I mean, he owns it. He's going to do what he's going to do. We're going to choose whether we love it or hate it. And so let's see how it evolves, I would say.
Keith,
there's something else.
I'm sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
I'll let you go and then I'll say something.
I was just going to ask Keith, didn't you post a story? It was a very good story about sort of the reasons that that Musk was going down the roads he was going down with the company, and it actually made some logical sense. What was that article?
Yeah, that was coming from Substack. It was a piece by Alex Kantrowitz, who writes a Substack called Big Technology. And Alex, his Substack's been very good for a long time, but sometimes it's wrong, sometimes it's right. He did a mea culpa himself a while ago. But I just thought the reason I posted it wasn't that I agreed with it. It was that I thought it was a sober, dispassionate attempt to understand what's going on. And that's super hard right now. I mean, either pro Musk or anti-Musk, there isn't a whole lot of just calm reflection. So I thought it was good for that reason.
Yeah, it laid out a bunch of reasons why Musk was doing the things that he's doing.
What are the key reasons?
See,
Keith,
Dennis should go.
yeah, well, here's an interesting, I think it's an interesting sort of analysis from left field. Various business school people like the late Clay Christensen, the Trout and Rice, the marketing experts, indicate that a mature market has room for about three competitors: a leader, a follower, and somebody in third place that may not be making money. It's entirely possible what we're watching is the maturation of the social media marketplace, and there are too many players. I think if that's the case, Twitter has been trying for a long time to find its place and can't. And I think this is the early. This is the early death throes of Twitter and consolidation of social media. And as I said a few weeks ago, Twitter's going to make mere millionaires out of some billionaires.
There are multiple dimensions to this story. One is simply corporate finance. The financials have not been good for Twitter. You can't run forever without making a profit. That's on one level. On another level, Twitter has, in a large respect, been created by its users more than its developers. Some of the key innovations of the product, like @replies and hashtags, were user-generated conventions that helped shape what the platform does, and also it is very much user created in terms of who joins and for what purposes. Within Twitter, there are just multiple universes. There are people who write about knitting, who write about gardening, who write about pets, who write about parenting, and most prominently, people who write about politics and journalism. And each one of those has created within Twitter a little universe. And the one that I think politicians and journalists pay attention to is the one that gets most of the attention, and it's the one that Elon seems most concerned with. So there's the financial side, there's the user side of it, and then there's the political side of it. Clearly, Elon has not been happy to. He certainly accepted the viewpoint that Twitter is liberal dominated, and he's trying to address that. He tweeted this morning that he thinks people should vote for Republicans in Congress because there's a Democrat in the White House. He tweeted.
That'll get things done.
Pardon?
That'll get things done.
You know, well, he's either disingenuous or naive. Last week he tweeted a conspiracy theory about the attack on Paul Pelosi. Why did he do that? What was going on in his head when he did that? It seems to me he's just a very pissed off right winger who is trying to make alliances with people in the right wing. Maybe because he thinks they will win tomorrow. Maybe because he thinks they should win tomorrow. So that's another dimension of it. And then the final dimension is, I think that he sees something in Twitter that is a foundation in Twitter for building something that is wholly unlike Twitter today. You know, when he originally talked about X and the X domain, and when he talks about the Chinese platform that he says you can live your life on, and he'd like to make Twitter a multifunctional platform for all kinds of things. So he's got short-term goals, financial goals, political goals, and long-term visionary goals.
Michael, I agree with a lot of what you said, but I'd characterize him as a pissed off left winger. A lot of us on the left are pissed off at the left, in quotes, that have become like a caricature of the left. And the anti-free speech thing is the worst. The fact that the left has become anti-free speech. So I think he's a pissed off left winger, not a pissed off right winger.
I think anti-free speech is a caricature. If you look at content moderation, it really has less to do with viewpoints and more to do with harassment and more to do with things that are dangerous. But
that's free speech. Being dangerous is okay. Harassment even is okay within the law. So the minute you use those things to close speech down, you're leveraging things that offend you into what is effectively an illiberal regime.
Well, I fundamentally disagree with your point of view about free speech.
Who knew?
I just
wait a minute. There's a fire. There's a fire in my theater.
I think it's time that I disclose that.
This is where the gang has nothing.
Did you just say fire sign theater?
No, I said there's a fire in my theater. I have to go deal with it right now. Oh,
I'm sorry. I got an itchy
Yeah,
trigger
right.
finger.
But I think the other thing, actually, to be honest, Michael, I was being a bit facetious there, just to wind you up a bit. But
Yeah, that would be the problem.
I'm sorry, and I apologize for that. I think the more important.
that was good TV. It was very funny.
No,
But
not
the-
good TV. Or if it is good TV, it's not good Gillmor gang.
I think the more important point with Elon is to recognize he is the thing that characterizes him is Asperger's. He is not somebody you should expect to get linear, narrative from. He's on the spectrum. Almost everything he does is instinctive and impulsive because of that, which is a medical condition. And therefore, if you treat him as a kind of to the standards of a linear politician, he's going to fail it every single time. He is a kind of a wild card. And the interesting thing is that he's quite successful at that. because he has this kind of OCD element where he's super focused that coincides with an HDC element where he has lots of things going on at the same time, but he's super focused in each of them. And you can see in him, he's a special kind of person that isn't really subject to normal analysis.
Yes, he is. He's a psychopath. He's not ACD.
I saw a tweet this
He's-
morning
he's
that I
a-
think
He's a
characterized it
plain
brilliantly.
vanilla psychopath.
I saw,
He's just got more money than you and me.
I saw, I saw a tweet that I think characterized it very well. He said, Elon is exhibiting very strong substitute teacher energy, losing control of a classroom.
On purpose, though. I mean, it's who he is. I mean, you must admit that's been his whole life.
Well, there is some benefit for ADHD in certain circumstances. I knew a television director who specialized in doing live events where there are dozens of camera positions that all have to be switched and dozens of pre-rolls. And he said that his ADHD was a great advantage to him in being able to do that.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Just to constantly look at a huge array of monitors showing all the potential feeds and listen to everything that people are saying to him and pick out something to do in all that chaos is something that most people can't manage if their attention is too focused.
Tina
I mean,
can. She's
so-
doing it right now.
And if you try and imagine what his week has been like, whether you empathize with him or you really think he's a psychopath, it really doesn't matter. But if you try to put yourself in his shoes for a week and think about all the incoming, I mean, holy crap. I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I think he's actually, until this morning, I think he held the line quite well. This morning when he closed down fake accounts that were pretending to be him, I thought, okay, they're getting to him now. But up until then, I didn't.
Kathy Griffin turned the button.
Yeah, I think somehow someone got to him emotionally.
I don't think anybody's figured out a real or a favorite or that whole verified account thing, not the new thing, but just since day one, trying to identify who's important and who isn't. Has never worked and nobody understands it. And my prediction is that they will continue to not understand it.
Do you have a blue check? Do you, Steve, have a blue
No,
check?
I absolutely don't.
No.
I don't need one, first of all, because the way my
Well-
name is spelled, it's fairly unique.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that's one thing.
I
The
just
other thing is-
ask. I'll tell you I do.
the other-
I'm
the
not.
other, I'm still answering your question. The other reason is that at various times, I've inquired about whether I should get a verified check. And, I once asked Jack Dorsey about this. And he said, sure. And I said, well, is it easy? And he said, no.
So I did have one until today. Mine's gone. I was paying $2.99. And I've noticed in the app this morning, there's no more Twitter Blue on mine. So I think probably they must have canceled the old Twitter Blue.
Oh, I wonder if they cancel our Twitter.
Yeah, that will impact on several sneak peeks that are over 2 minutes.
Mhm.
I don't know
I
what.
hope you're wrong.
It could
I
be
saw
just a
some
bug
sort of
anyway, but my
screenshot.
blue check mark is gone. And I don't see any way to pay to get one back.
Well,
Well, $7.99 is now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's less than 8. So
it's a bargain.
Well,
But I did get a notification yesterday saying I can now edit tweets because I'm paying, which I think is a feature worth paying for, by the way, because I do typos all the time on my
that thing
tweets.
with Twitter Blue, so it sounds like maybe you still have Twitter Blue.
Yeah, they've just removed the verified component.
But that verified didn't have anything to do with Twitter Blue.
But-
yeah, and I still have mine. So I actually wonder why you don't have yours.
Are you paying for it?
No.
Okay, so he's paying for it. He, by that, I mean Keith. And Tina is suggesting that he probably still is receiving some of the benefits of Twitter Blue. You don't receive those benefits because you're not paying for it.
That's right, but I have a blue check mark.
But that has
You know,
zero to
Has
do-
nothing to do with the other. One has
Right.
nothing to do with
right.
the
It
other.
it is a pretty confusing product array. Blue check marks, Twitter Blue, paid blue check marks, free blue check marks. I suppose I don't know. I'm sure there are some people who bother to find out what the differences are, but it's almost as confusing as the number of iPads there are to buy.
You know, it also, I find the way that, you know, so this takeover has happened and now it's in Elon's hands, and Elon's got his right-hand guy also tweeting what they're going to do, Jason Calacanis. You're seeing a lot of tweets about, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Just watch, here it comes, here it comes. Well, I think it just feels very, I don't know, kind of sloppy in that way, and sort of like, hey, wait, don't leave, don't fear, everything's going to be so much better. You know, the grass is
Can I,
growing.
if
over
I
there.
press on one of these squares, will I allow me to choose sloppy or psychopath?
Oh, do you have that? Do you have
No,
that sound
I
effect?
think that would
Brent? Do
be,
you
I'd
have
pay
the-
for that. I really
Hey,
would.
you could be a sloppy psychopath too.
It just feels kind of like
Double or nothing.
kids.
You know, it's funny, while you were doing
Right.
that,
saying that
Tina,
they're gonna do this and do
uh,
that. And
it sounded so much like the former guy.
yeah,
Crazy. You just described the former guy.
yeah, I know.
So
But
calling
it-
calling
that makes
Trump
me too.
the former guy is your way of giving him a verified blue check mark, right?
You know, you're right. Trump, you got that guy you just described, Donald J. Trump.
So I was told in discussion that there was a relationship between this Trump stuff or election and Twitter Musk. I've yet to hear it. Does anybody want to suggest that again? Dennis?
Well, Musk himself suggested it this morning.
What-
He was
what
giving
was-
he was giving election advice. Yeah, there is a relationship in that a lot of the complaints of the Republican Party are echoed by Musk. He is an amplifier of their lies. That's one relationship, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say lies. I'd say opinions. I don't know if the
Oh, it's an opinion that Paul Pelosi had a secret gay rendezvous. Is that an opinion or a lie?
Well, I think you're being selective in picking examples when you say
Well,
that.
I think that's a very indicative example.
Well,
I think-
you don't
I
know
think
if it's a
I think
lie.
what they call in poker a tell. It's telling us who that guy is and what's important to him.
Do you know for sure that it isn't true? I don't.
Oh.
Well, we have
Really?
No, I mean,
Really? Are you gonna, are you
I
gonna
assume,
fall
I
back
assume
on
it
that?
isn't
You're gonna
true.
go
Come on,
hide,
come on. We have the
Well,
guy.
hide in the
look,
probability?
the
Oh,
bar
cut it
for
out.
facts, the
Wow.
bar for
All
facts,
at once.
the bar for facts versus the bar for opinions are different places. So if you
I'm
call something a lie,
fascinated with
when you call
how far
something a
you-
lie,
I'm fascinated with how far you would go to justify an argument about free speech. I really think,
No, I'm saying you can't call.
I
things
think it's
lies.
deeply offensive, frankly, not Frank. I think it's deeply offensive to assign any credible,
Any credibility?
any
But being
credibility
offensive-
whatsoever.
being offensive
to
is
that,
important.
When you say that,
Yeah.
I think you're trying to justify back to your opinions about, the state of the Musk takeover.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I think it's a threat to democracy when you call your opponents
No,
liars. If you call your opponents lies, you're effectively banning them from speaking.
well,
What-
first of
what
all,
do you call a
anybody
liar
can-
then?
yeah.
What do you call a
Anybody can say what they want to say. The ramifications and the implications of that are to be determined.
Well, it's offensive to call someone a liar.
I
when
think
they're
it's
not.
offensive to
Was
say
it,
what you
was the
just
election
said.
stolen or not? Was the election fraudulent or not? That's been adjudicated in over 60 courtrooms. It's still what, an opinion that it was stolen? It's still something that
I have no problem with people saying it was stolen. I disagree with them. I don't want to stop them saying it.
I don't want to stop them from saying it, but I want to have them refuted every time they say it.
I agree with that. We're on the same side. We're totally on the same side there.
Right,
It's
so
a destructive meme to say that. It's leading to all kinds of intimidation of poll workers, of people who are trying to administer election. It's leading to armed insurrection, which we had in Washington. It's not just an opinion. It's a force.
I would
It's a
say,
team that's a
Michael,
force to action.
well, so let's engage in a way that tries to get underneath it. When people say the election was stolen, what's driving them? Is it that the election was stolen, or is it that they support Trump? I think it's that they support Trump, and the election was stolen is simply a BS way for them to express their support for Trump. Now, why do they support Trump? They support Trump because the Democrats have not been able to get them to support the Democrats. And so the election is stolen or the election is not stolen is such a stupid conversation because it doesn't actually address the real reasons that people hold those opinions. The
It's
real
right up
reasons
there.
people hold those opinions is because
It's
they
right
don't
up there
like-
with, I'm really offended by usage.
I don't care if you're offended. Be fucking offended.
I understand that. Look, I've got I can just turn you off if you.
You can turn me off
Yes.
if you want. Go for
Okay,
it.
so I'm not turning me off. I'm gonna say that I am offended by your justification.
I don't care if you're offended. Who cares a shit if you're offended?
Boy.
No, but you shouldn't say
Hello?
that. That's telling
I
someone
haven't
they're
said it
offending
yet
you isn't
because you
addressing
keep
their
interrupting
point of
me.
view. You're offending me
I'm
saying
offended
you're
by it.
offended.
I'm
I'm offended
offended
by you saying you're offended.
but
Excellent.
Let's say this. We
Wait a
have
minute, you
the
can't-
right- You have the.
No, I
right
just-
to- you
This
have
is
the-
a
Honestly,
double
no, you
standard.
can't say you're offended and tell me to shut up.
I didn't tell you to
that's
shut
not
up.
democratic.
I didn't
Oh,
tell
no,
you.
you're cherry picking this, Keith. Nobody told you to shut up. Nobody told you to shut up. What you were told that your argument doesn't hold a bucket of water.
Then it's okay. I'll listen to that. I'll
The
shut up and
idea
listen.
that we don't know that is a lie, that is something that was manufactured by a group of people in this country that does that a lot. For you to say that you don't know whether that's true or not, I think it's offensive.
How could I know? I wasn't there.
Oh, no. This gets deep into philosophical territory.
It's
There are
not
lots of ways of
It's
knowing,
simple. It's simple.
and there are lots of ways of knowing, and the
But
ways of knowing do not
Holocaust
stop
denier.
at
don't
you
have to-
being a
don't
witness.
have to have been at the Holocaust to know that it happened, and that's a lot of people say, "Hey,
that's
this-
different. That's documented.
and that's a
Well,
fact.
the election is
I don't
also
think you can
documented.
Deny it, but if you're
Actually, I'm
denying
not talking about the election. We weren't talking about the election. We were talking about Pelosi.
Could we change the subject, because I don't want to go down this rat hole.
But yeah, you're seizing on this, but actually I'm making a broader point, which is
He's
saying
not
that the
making a
opposition are
point.
liars is an
You
ineffective.
are not making a point. You are defending the indefensible.
Okay, look, if I did that, again, I'll apologize. What I was trying to say was a point I would have thought everyone would agree with, which is the argumentative tactic of describing your enemy as liars is an ineffective, useless tactic. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Let
I
me
would
ask you
agree with
this.
that. I would agree with that, but I wouldn't agree with the example that you used to frame that discussion. Do you
Let me
understand
ask
what
you
I'm
this.
saying?
Do political actors lie or
On
not?
all sides, yes.
They do. Okay. And
their
can we
job
know when they're
description.
lying?
Yeah, but it's not useful to point that out as the sole argument against them.
It's
It-
not the
it
sole
doesn't
argument.
work.
No, it's not the sole argument. But I would say it is not useful to let it go. I would say it is not useful to accept lies as legitimate discourse, or to accept lies as valid opinions. Lies are deliberate falsehoods. If you
I mean,
can't,
factually, that's
if you
obviously.
cannot detect that and you cannot acknowledge that, there is no discourse.
So the problem is, Michael, who gets to decide what a lie is? I mean, everyone accuses everyone of lying when actually what they're saying is they disagree with their opinion. And the word lie has started to be used as a weapon.
Look, there's a spectrum. There is disagreement of opinion, and then you cross some barrier in which you are actually lying. It's not all just opinion.
The most interesting tweet by Musk, by the way, in this context was he tweeted yesterday, Twitter needs to become by far the most accurate source of information about the world. That's our mission. I completely disagree with him on that. Jack replied, accurate to who? And Jack was this is the first time Jack and Elon have fought since the takeover. And it's all about the nature of information and the accuracy as a goal. And I don't think for a second Twitter could ever be a place where you get accurate information. So I agree with Jack when Jack says accurate to who. And I totally disagree with Musk when he says Twitter should become the most accurate source of information about the world. That's our mission. Because the truth is that in a contested space like the public space, facts, opinions, lies, and truth all merge together into debate. And the most interesting thing is right and wrong. No one talks about right and wrong anymore. Facts and truth and right and wrong are not the same thing.
I'm going to do something shocking. I agree with Keith.
And I totally agree with Mike.
Where did Dennis go?
I think he's had it. I surmise he's had it, or he's had a technical problem.
I think this whole thing was one big giant NFT to Dennis.
I just think that opinion is different than fact. Facts can be facts. Facts are truisms. I don't think it's suspect to whom. There are some things that are facts, and there are some things that are non-facts.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that. Well, let me say more about what I agreed with Keith on.
Okay.
I agreed that a platform like Twitter, in which everyone is free to post whatever they have in their mind, can never be a source of definitive factual information. By its nature, there's no way to do that. If you appoint certain peer-reviewed authorities to tell you what's going on, they might be able to do that, but a platform like Twitter could never do that. Everything, to Keith's point, will be disputed by someone. So if Musk is right about his goal, he's going to need infinite content moderation.
Right.
He's going to need either teams and or AI, probably a combination of the two, to constantly monitor everything that's said. And the other point I agree with Keith is there are some things that are in dispute. I think some things can be settled, but most things are to some extent in dispute. So there's no way that Twitter can be a definitive source of truth. And it's another example of what an idiot Musk is. He has no idea what he's doing.
Well, he's gone down a bad path this morning because the minute he did the Kathy Griffith thing, there's a bit of that is correct, which is you can't impersonate someone with the intent of telling the world you're them. I agree with that. I kind of think if it was possible, Steve, you implied it wasn't possible, but let's say it was possible that everyone had a real identity. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with stopping people impersonating. But what he really did this morning is he leaned it heavily into the managing the information flow stuff that Michael just said he's going to have to do if he wants it to be a source of information. Now, his reply to Jack was a feature that's called Birdwatch. That they're going to open that up to the community so that everyone can comment on everyone else's tweet as to its factual accuracy and so on. Which, okay, that might stop him having to hire armies of.
What is that, crowdsourcing truth, or is
Yes,
that?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So,
But I think that is Michael's opening up the right framing, which is it's either a public space or it's a curated platform, and it can't be both. And if it's a curated platform, unless you can successfully do the crowd thing, it's a huge army of adjudicators.
well, I'm going to disagree with you, Keith. I don't think it's binary. I think there's a spectrum of moderated content. It goes back to my fundamental disagreement with you is your free speech absolutism. I don't think it's a binary choice of anyone can say anything or no one can say anything. I think that we have some areas which are very clear, some areas which are almost clear, and some areas which are indeterminate. And a well-managed social platform has to be able to accommodate that range.
Well, hey, a well-managed society has to be able to accommodate that range.
I'm not an absolutist, actually. I mean, I do believe that laws matter and that you can't break the law. But I don't like that part of closing down free speech, which is just a weapon for stopping debate. You know, like pointing the finger and name calling. I hate that. And I hate it even further when it gets enshrined in shutdowns, because I fear that is, you know, if we're worried about democracy, which we should be, we don't want to be part of the cause of its field shrinking. So I'm not an absolutist, but I am pretty far out there. I'm prepared to tolerate things I strongly disagree with, and even when I'm offended by them, not.
Well, why would you distrust yourself and be prepared to defend something that you strongly disagree with? That doesn't make sense.
No, I don't defend it. I defend the right to express it in an open way and have forced me to have to reply to them.
So
fair enough.
Here's an example of how the dynamics of a platform like Twitter operate. A friend of mine who's a writer and a podcaster who specializes in pop culture and gender politics put up a tweet in which she dragged both Drake and Elon Musk. That immediately went viral in the worst way, as Musk defenders and Drake defenders decided to call her an idiot. And she was ratioed up the wazoo to the point where I think she's taken a time out on being on Twitter. I mean, that's the kind of harassment that is not debate, it's not discussion,
That's bullying.
How dare you say this about the great god Drake and the great god Elon? It's the kind of discourse that is
It's in the Republican Party, you mean?
Pardon?
I said that's the kind of discourse that's running through the Republican Party right now, the night before the election.
Indeed, but yeah.
Brent, you've been awfully quiet.
Nice hat. That's a great embroidered
What are
logo.
you thinking, Brent?
Thinking we spent the first 50 minutes talking about the guy that I said the last time I don't want to spend all my time talking about it. That's what I've been thinking. I mean, I get it. I understand that's what everybody wants to talk about, but damn it. I mean, and then the dude does exactly what we said he was gonna do. He gets pissed off and he's got the power to do something stupid because he owns the thing now. That's why I said I don't want any one person owning that much of our potential attention. And here it is, example A, B through Z of it happening. And it's just getting started. This is gonna be the way of life for the foreseeable future. Particularly with the politics, because you integrate him because he wants to be involved in every important discussion there is, whether it's technology, whether it's metaverse, whether it's politics, whatever. And he has now given himself the ability to say anything, whether it's dumb or smart or what have you, and then everybody's going to respond to it. Some people who have 30 million followers, when they respond, then it becomes an even bigger deal. But there's 30 million people who will respond to it who may have smaller followers, and it becomes a bigger deal.
Well,
This is just the way it's going to be for the foreseeable
that's the
future.
biggest change that he's managed to bring to Twitter. He's turned the platform entirely into a discussion of himself.
Yes, I mean that's where Dennis will end up being right. If he can't pull back from that, Twitter will shrink to the Elon Musk interest circle, because it will become useless if we all pay attention to him. So that's when Dennis will end up being right. And I think that's his weakness. His weakness is control. And when you run Twitter, especially when you take it over saying that you believe it's the public square, you cannot even think about having control. What you can do is be an individual voice. He can just be Elon Musk, even though he's the owner. He can say what he wants, do what he wants. But when he starts curating, then it'll be a problem.
Yeah,
this
but
is why
even as a voice, being the owner and a voice is I think a conflict of interest.
If we think of Twitter as journalism, there's one of the rules of journalism is don't become part of the story that you're trying to convey, right? And he definitely is a very integral and central part of this story. So what do we do? Do we like ignore it for a while? Do we leave the platform? Do we say, hey, this isn't the right thing to do? I can see that. So we have to have a response, I think, to some of this. What's the response?
Well,
just like wait and see.
There are so many other things going on in the world. We don't have to always be hanging on this dude's tweet every damn thing. I mean, that's the thing for me. That's why I stayed quiet a lot for this, because I'm really fighting. I don't want to be a part of Elon's total world and everything that a few people say or do. We all have to have an opinion. I have to spend the rest of our lives kind of talking about. I was looking at and this is so completely off this discussion.
That's okay.
I've been looking at I'm an undercover Doctor Who guy, and I maybe not as undercover now as I was before, but they did their final show and they had this big reveal with David Tennant coming back, and then the news about Disney Plus spending all this money to get the next series of Doctor Who, and then they just announced that they're like tripling the budget for what the Doctor Who usually gets. They're going to get like all this new money because of the Disney Plus relationship, and it just proves the point about just how important it is to be able to kind of look at the bigger picture and see all these other things and moves that are going on that are shaping the world beyond this guy who spent $44 billion for this platform that hasn't made a dime since it's been in existence. And it, for whatever reason, it just gets a completely ridiculous amount of our attention. when there's so many more things going on. I mean, we haven't even talked about, anything with the TikTok, which is the #1 platform. I mean, we're stuck on this guy. Yeah, he should have brought TikTok. Now that would have been something to talk about. But I'm just saying, there's so many things that are going on. And, the elections, we kind of touched on that, but even in the elections, we kind of integrate him into that conversation. It's just overbearing to have any one person dominate our. I didn't like it with the Trump. Don't like it with this dude. Definitely don't like it if they get together and then they try to figure out how to carve the world up, the attention of the world up. It's just too much. I think it's important for everybody to look elsewhere. I mean, we don't have to always chase the squirrel. We can look, and there's so many interesting things going on. I think it's important for us to remember that stuff.
Thank you. Let's not chase the squirrel. What bring us another topic that is important to talk about today?
The new Revolver release.
Oh, might even bring Mr.
What's
Gillmor back into the conversation, or
Not-
not.
not a chance.
No. Okay.
The Peter Jackson AI demixing software is amazing. You can take a mono track.
What is that?
Well, it's what he used in producing Get Back, to be able to take the soundtracks that were recorded, being able to dig out things that were hidden behind noise and pull them to the foreground, to be able to remix things by pulling out separate tracks. Basically, the software identifies individual instruments and individual voices in a mono mix and pulls them out into separate tracks so they can be remixed. As an example, the song Eleanor Rigby got a lot of attention immediately because it didn't have guitars, it didn't have drums, it had a double string quartet as the accompaniment. But because of the technology at the time it was recorded, that string quartet had to be mixed down to a single mono element. And in the new software, they've been able to tease it out so you can actually spread the cellos on one side and the violins on another side and make a stereo mix out of something that was once a mono mix.
Well, that's not accurate, actually.
What is
That
the
was the one song. That was the one song on this new record that did not use AI.
really? So how did he find the original tracks?
They were all recorded individually and bounced down to another machine.
Oh, I see. So they had the original ones. But even in all the other tracks, they're able to place and isolate the drums, the bass, the guitars, and the voices, where in the original versions, all the voices were blended into one channel or split to two channels. Now they're placed across a spectrum using Dolby Atmos technology. So it's a fascinating new technology, and I wish that it was cheap enough to use to re-listen to old mono recordings from the 30s and 40s. I'd love to hear the Ellington band in stereo. I'd love
It's
to
going
hear
to get there. It's definitely going to get there because once you can detect instruments separately from each other, I mean, everything can be remastered, I imagine.
Did anybody watch that TikTok documentary on PBS?
No.
I'm meaning to.
No.
It's on my list. I hear it's pretty good.
Oh, I've got to go in 2 minutes, by the way.
Okay, Keith, so we'll just say a formal goodbye to you right now so that you can slip off when you need to. Thank you for your participation today. And when you have to go, feel free.
All right. The funny thing is, every time you speak, Tina, the shot of the blank TV screen comes on because you're using the microphone that's on the other desk.
That's funny because we see both of you in one block, and then there's an open one, and Keith is saying the one that comes up as the open one.
Yeah.
When you talk, that's funny. I'm watching the Zoom feed, not the one on Facebook.
I can fix that this one time.
Oh, we got a multi-camera thing going now.
Until Steve showed up in Tina's shot, and I was looking at his blank square, I was sure he ran to the airport to get on a plane to go look for Dennis.
I know where Dennis is.
Okay.
Well, so before I go, I should say my intention in what I said was not to upset anyone to the point where they were disengaged. It was simply to make the point that discussion really involves not being offended, even when you are. And because you can't, the person speaking can't do anything when they're accused of offending. They just have to shut up. And that doesn't seem very good to me. So I was reacting, and I apologize for my reaction, Steve. My goal wasn't to offend anyone. My goal was just to make a point.
Thank you. Ooh, am I on two now?
Whoa, got a
Whoa.
little echo going there.
Sunday. Well, on that note, I have one thing to say before I go. I'm going to change the topic. There's a really great miniseries called SAS Rogue Heroes. It's about the beginnings of the SAS and how it became a regiment in the British military. It's really good. I have no idea where you can see it in America, because here it's on BBC Two. But anyway, it's really, really good.
Say the name again.
SAS, Strategic Air Services.
Yes. For the name of the show.
Rogue Heroes.
Rogue Heroes. All right. If we're doing TV recommendations, Black and Blue, Armstrong Black and Blues on Apple TV. It's a documentary about Louis Armstrong, which is largely based on his personal scrapbooks and his reams and reams of personal tape recordings. You know, he had his career as a Black artist at a time when Black artists had even harder times making a career than they do today. And he was not very public about Black-white politics, but that doesn't mean he had no opinions. And this is the subtitle is Black and Blues, which is taken from one of his songs. But Black is clearly the topic of this view of Louis Armstrong's life. And definitely time.
Sounds good. Although he did go public once when he was supposed to go to Russia.
He wasn't entirely silent. I mean, just having that song, I Feel So Black and Blue, was a kind of a racial politics statement. But there's much more to him than the public sees. You know, a lot of people have kind of pigeonholed him as kind of a jiving, shuffling Tom because of the way he used his just outsized personality to win over audiences. But that's not who the man was. And you know, he was not just the creator, certainly the strongest creator of jazz as we know it, jazz singing as we know it, pop singing and rock singing as we know it. He was also just a remarkable individual, and you see him personally in this documentary in ways that you never have before.
Excellent.
Cool. Sounds good.
Well,
you're on mute, Tina. You're on mute, Tina. We didn't hear a word you said.
Last thoughts, anybody? Thank you, Michael, for the tip.
Go out and vote. Oh, wait a minute. I already did. So
I did too.
Yeah.
So
if anyone hears this before Election Day and hasn't voted, do that. Vote.
Get out and vote. Make sure you drop off your ballots if you have them at home. Take someone to the polls, drive someone there, offer to sit for their child while they go out and do their duty. Help us out here and vote correctly. And correctly is whatever way you want to vote, but vote.
Like your life depends on it.
If you're one of these people who talks to their neighbors, talk to your neighbor.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
not.
ask them if they got their ballot in
You're not
yet.
going to do that, Brent. You're not going to talk to your neighbor. You don't like your
Well,
neighbors.
Here in Georgia, it's weird. I actually, and it's not from the government or anything, but in the mail last week, I got this piece of mail and it was called the voter report card.
Oh,
And it actually outed, like I live in the cul-de-sac, it outed our 3 houses, the voting record, whether they voted or not, from 2014 on. And it said, I'm not kidding, it said specifically, you're voting, we don't know who you voted for, but if you voted or not is all public record. And we are giving you this to show you, what your neighbor and your voting records are, to encourage your neighbors to vote if they haven't done so. And it shows you
weird.
I know it's like it's really, really over the top, crazy stuff going on there.
Do you think
You know,
is that a privacy issue?
Well, I think what they're doing is they're getting public information, and then there's a mailing. Like they didn't say who
Right.
you voted for. They just showed whether you voted or not in the last like 6 general elections, and so it has a yes, no, and it has your neighbor. It doesn't give your neighbor your address. It got it blacked out. But I live in a cul-de-sac of 3 houses, so I know exactly what's going on.
Did your neighbors vote?
I'm not gonna put that out there. That's their.
You see now, it was not hard to make the distinction about that story, about what part of it was right and what part of it was wrong, without saying, smack dab, it's wrong because of privacy. It just feels wrong. Thank you. Drop the mic.
Okay.
You posted that on Facebook, and I did some Googling and found out where that letter came from.
Yeah, you left a comment. Yeah, look, I'm in the heat of the battle in Georgia. I'm getting emails and texts. It's all coming from one side. I have to say, it's all coming from one side. But it's been unbelievable, the amount of stuff. I'm afraid to look at my emails. I'm afraid to look at my texts. I never answer my phone. It's just ridiculous.
It will all be over soon.
Not quite.
You think?
Not so soon.
It
right?
will only be over soon if there's a Republican sweep. Then it will be over. If there's
then all the fraud accusations will start piling up. And
can't wait for that. Yeah, that's
if
well.
the
What I
Democrats-
think is going to
Democrats
happen
do
though.
well, expect this to run on through January and beyond.
enjoy your United States of America,
Your
land of the free, and the
enjoy your
home of the
British
brave.
politics.
yeah. Say hi to Liz Truss for us.
Yeah, she's 6 feet under, babe.
All right. I'm going to wrap this
Coming.
one up. Thank you. Thank you, Michael Markman. Thank you, Brent Leary. Thank you to Frank Radis. Thank you to Keith Tier and Dennis Pombriant and Steve Gillmor. We'll be back really soon. Thank you to those who showed up and especially those who didn't. We'll see you again real soon. Bye.
And thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And thank you to those who left early.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. And I'm